East Texans are traveling for hunting or camping trips as temperatures start to cool down. Texas A&M Forest Service wants outdoor enthusiasts to be vigilant when picking up firewood. East Texas Weekend's Mariela Gonzalez reports accidental transport of firewood is a key contributor of tree pest infestations.
So burn it where you buy it.
As cold weather arrives in East Texas, outdoor activities increase, and so does the collection of firewood. Alan Smith is the Regional Health Forest Coordinator for the Texas A&M Forest Service. He says right now, through the spring, insects can travel far distances if you're not careful with the firewood you use.
When it's an egg or a larva, sometimes they're very small. They're buried inside the wood underneath the bark. You may not even know that they're in there.
Smith explains that tree-killing pests live and breed in firewood.
Nobody's moving these insects around on purpose, but it's an inadvertent thing that can be easily avoided.
Smith says in East Texas, the most common pest infestations is from emerald ash borer,
which affects ash trees and is responsible for killing about 99% of the ash trees in the upper Midwest where it originated from.
And the red bay ambrosia beetle,
which is a very small, tiny insect that gets into red bay and sassafras type trees, laurel trees, and carries a fungus that kills those trees.
Smith says to help prevent infestations, don't travel with firewood at all.
Buying your firewood where you're going to burn it, burning it at that location, and then if you have leftover, leave it there. Don't move it around.
Mariela Gonzalez, East Texas News Weekend.
According to the agency, the state has several counties under quarantine for the highly destructive emerald ash borer.